Oh wow, there's actually people here. I'm excited. There's actually people in the webinar. Good morning, and thanks for coming to today's webinar. My name is Jose Galvin. We'll be starting shortly. As I'd like to do at the beginning here, can everyone hear me okay? If you can respond in the chat, that'd be awesome.
Looks like you can pay for it. So if you log into there and go ahead and pay for it, you should be able to get it back up. So that's actually enough.
Okay, and can everyone, good morning, and can everyone see my screen? You should be seeing our Instagram account.
Yeah, you should log in. You should go ahead and log in and pay for that. And then I'll have what I need to take care of it. Do this. You guys use Facebook?
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for taking the time out to join us this morning. My name is Jose Galvin. I'll be hopefully helping you out with some general information in regards to search engine optimization. I'm going to be using one of our clients today, Midtown Animal Hospital. She's Dr. True is a longtime VIN member, and she's also my veterinarian. So I'll be happy to use her kind of as a guinea pig and hopefully share some information, some general information on search engine optimization. Just a little background on myself before we get started. I come from a support and service background. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm blessed to call many veterinarians here my colleagues at working with VIN. I have background in telecommunications, worked for a couple of startups and a couple of telephone companies before coming here to VIN. And I'm very excited to help everyone get the most out of your site. So first thing I'd like to start with is to just have a real general big picture look at SEO. A lot of people, this is just kind of an introductory webinar today. So my point is not to really get into the real technical parts, just to show you the things that we can do for you and kind of give some information on directions that we can help you improve the search results. In general, SEO is comprised of two main parts. So if somebody does a search for veterinarian and then a town, SEO is the process of getting your site up towards the front here, at the very top of the list, whether it's on a map listing or here in what's called the organic listings. If you've ever done a search, you also know that there's advertisements that Google Ads has a way, Google or Bing or Yahoo, different search engines have a method by where you can pay to have your practice show up. And what we're going to work on is the organic search results, which is having it rank up higher in the maps, having it rank down here in these search results. Now there's two different, there's two main areas of SEO, like I mentioned. There's the on-site SEO, which has to do with everything that's on the website. In other words, content, locations that you are that you have on the website, how the page is formatted, coding on the page, how long the site's been around. That's all part of on-site SEO. The other part of it is called off-site SEO. And what off-site SEO is are things that have to do with references to your site. And what I mean by that is we've all had a point in our lives where somebody else has recommended something with somebody has told us, hey, this is a great place for a sandwich, or this is a great veterinarian. Part of SEO is these references from other websites. So for example, here, we're checking up on Midtown using a third-party site, and we can see that they have listings at Google, Facebook, and these other websites out here, directories and search engines that have the website, Midtown Animal Clinic, and they're pointing towards it. Or I'm sorry, Midtown Animal Hospital. And we can also see that there's room for improvement. Here in the yellow pages, this YP page, they've got the phone number, a different phone number. They've got the correct address. As you can see, there's no website. So we'll delve more into this in a few. I just wanted to show the two main areas, on-site SEO, off-site SEO. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that, and maybe I'll start with this since we're on here already. A lot of this is free. Actually, the great majority of this is free. And if any of you in the call would like to proffer up your practice in the chat window, I'll be glad to do a check on it, and we can see some areas of opportunity and things that we can do. In most cases, all we have to do is update a listing, put some information in, and ensure that the information for the practice is consistent, up to date, and correct. So for example here, Midtown Animal Hospital, here's their information. And if we go here to this Inconsistence tab, we see here's one of their doctors. And on this one, they're missing the website. So what we would do then is go to these websites here, log in or set up an account. In most cases, they're free. The most difficult part, excuse me, is keeping track of which email you're using. My recommendation is to set up a generic Gmail account and then use that as the basis for just to have everything under that blanket. Sometimes people will have maybe an outside source, a third party log in and do this way back in the day. And then it's hard to just define that one, but there are ways around that, and I can help you through that maze. This site that I'm using, by the way, these folks, Moz, we don't have any official relationship with them. They're just a search engine clearinghouse where they offer support for SEOs and people that work with SEO, webmasters, lay people. They also sell products. I happen to like this page because it's free. Getting the ranking is free, so we can find this information and then do adjustments. But you don't have to pay. What you're paying for, if you do sign up for this, is the actual the time and the labor into logging into site, picking a username and password, correcting a listing, and that sort of thing. So again, these listings, the more listings that we have, the more pages that you've got an actual website on, and where you have the consistent name, address, phone number, and now website, then the better. If anyone would like to type in their practice name, I can do a check for them. And if not, then I can just jump on to the next part where we're going to talk about the actual SEO that we can do on the site. And we can always bounce back too. Also, if you ever have a question at any point during the chat today, let me know, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. No such thing as any silly or dumb questions, especially with this. Okay, so we're going to talk now about what you can do on your site. So the main thing to remember is, and I know that I don't know how many are doctors and how many are practice managers here, but I know you're all beset by salespeople promising magic for SEO. And the thing is to improve your site's ranking, it can be done. You can do it for free. Obviously, in this case, you're paying for us, and we're helping you, but you don't have to pay anything extra. And there is no magic bullet, but there are the factors into making a site rank high are manifold. So you don't have to worry about either a magic bullet or I guess like like a poison pill that just absolutely destroys your site's ranking. There's a lot of different factors that go into them, and they're called ranking signals. If you ever want to find out what all the different signals are for a site, you can find them. These folks here have kept a pretty good link of all the different ones, but you really you don't freak out over any one not missing, because it's going to be, so in this case, he's got 200 ranking factors. Now, if you're looking at this as a pie, that means that there are multiple opportunities to make it up. It's kind of like if you're taking a course and you've got exams, you've got regular coursework, maybe there's an essay.
Hey there.
Think of this as there's a million different, hundreds of different extra credit assignments, which if you do, great, and if you don't do, well, it won't kill you, but you can definitely move the needle. So this site here, I'll put it on. I don't want everyone to get tied down into the minutiae on it. Don't worry about it too much if you don't have every factor. We have, for our clients, in most cases, done a lot of this for you. So for example, when you first sign up, and let me look at one of these here. So there's a thing called a title tag. And so, they're talking about a title tag. There's also talking about an H1 tag. These are things which we have built into most of your sites. So if we go here, and does this one have it? Let's see here. So these are tags that you've got. There's also text on the images. So if you double click an image, you'll see that there's a place where you can add a little tag here, the image description. Now to do that, we've done most of them already. And so you don't have to do that, but I'm going to include it here just so you can do that. And image text is a big chunk because every site has images. We're always doing searches for images, and this is one way where you can add some text to it. Google's guidelines themselves, touch on this, and what they want people to do is to have a description of what the image is about or what the content on the page is about, but not a whole bunch of just random keywords. They don't want you to do what's called keyword stuffing. And so, let me see here. If you look here, and I'll put this one in the chat as well. It's nice because Google actually tells you, hey, and this is what we can do. So they will tell you the things that you can do. So this here's some alt text. Here's the bad version. Puppy JPG, no text at all. Here's also another bad example. Keyword stuffing. Puppy, dog, pup, puppers, doggies, Labrador, wolfhound. This doesn't add any information to the visitor to your website. All it does is it makes it look, spammy. Now here's one. There's a puppy picture and it says alt puppy. Well, but here's the best one. Dalmatian puppy playing fetch. So you can see that it's conversational English. It doesn't even have a period. It's just a little phrase that somebody can use. So what I've done is I put in Midtown Animal Hospital dash veterinarian serving West Sacramento, Midtown Sacramento, downtown, Northrop Park, Carmichael, and Elk Grove. Now, this is kind of, there's a lot of communities in here. Here is where you come in. And by you, I mean the folks that are on this call, whoever's listening to this webinar, whoever is working on this. You know your community. You know the nicknames, and you know the lay of the land better than I ever could. So you can talk about the different areas that you serve. It's one thing to say, serving Dallas and the surrounding areas, but the surrounding areas doesn't really tell us much, right? On the other hand, Midtown, the Doco, North Oak Park, that's very specific. And you're using terminology, you know, you using that terminology will help locals come to your site. So the content on your site is one of the biggest factors. I would say it's the biggest, if we're going to go back to that analogy of the pie and all the different factors going in. Having good content on the website is probably the biggest one. And so what you can do then is to think, well, what is it that people are searching for? You got to put on your client hat and then put it in there. In general, you're not going to go wrong by putting in that you service certain areas and then by labeling them on the site. You don't have to put in a dozen of them. I know that we've got clients in Los Angeles and Houston, in a really big metropolitan areas. Sometimes you can't, you'll have a dozen different practices in just one, part of the city alone. But you know the nicknames, and you know the community, you know the borders of the community. Maybe there's a river, maybe there's a mountain, maybe there's an interstate. Whatever the case may be, you can talk about those areas so that you can improve the search. And it doesn't have to be just on the home page. You can reinforce this on other pages, although it may be weird to talk about these different towns on the prescription refill request. But on the other hand, the contact us page is fantastic. This is exactly where it should go, because here is a map. Here's some directions. This is an ideal location to talk about these different locations. So formatting your images, definitely low-hanging fruit. We've done some of this for you. You can always expand on that. Talking about the areas that you serve, that's a really easy one, and that'll help folks if they're doing a search. Now, if you're offering a service, so for example, here they're doing spay and neutering, then talk about what you're doing, and then include the practice name so that people can tie it to there. So, for example, I haven't optimized this page, but I'm going to right now. Well, it looks like the images. It says Midtown Animal Hospital. That's the only spot that says it. So when Google looks at a page, it's looking just at this part. I mean, it does look at the header, but it doesn't completely. Let me show you what I mean. So if you do site colon and then a website, you'll see all the pages that Google has indexed. And what that means, a page being indexed by Google means that Google has, they've got a record of it, they've got a cached version of it, they know it's out there. And when and how this works is Google sends out these programs, you may have heard of them, referred to as spiders or bots. And what they are is they're just really simple programs that go to a website, find a link, follow that link, repeat the process. And in this way, they can crawl a website and find all this different content. On this page, we were talking about um, this neutering. So let's go through. So here it is. Here's the spay and neuter page. A nice trick to do is if you're on this search page on Google and you see this little triangle here, you click that and then you click the cache. It'll tell you the last time. Whoa. I was going to say it should show you the last time they came by. That's very odd. I don't know why it's not playing. Okay. This is embarrassing. I think that what's going on is because we recently added the HTTPS, which is the site security certificate, onto it. So I'll have to get back to you on that particular portion. So let me go ahead and change this. And what I'm going to do is format it. All right, so by putting this little header in there, we've got the name of the hospital, we've got the location. If somebody does a search for Sacramento plus Spain or Sacramento and neutering, we can go ahead and find it. We know that we know from up here that it says it, but Google doesn't because, well, and like I said, I can't do it here. Let me try another one. All right, so see here, here's a page here, and they're talking about it. They came by on the 19th, which was yesterday. Google scoured the page and had this is the latest version. So this is the content that they're reading, not so much the stuff out here and over here. I'm going to take a second to ask if anyone has questions before I keep charging ahead, and then we'll, if everyone's all right, I'll keep on keeping on here. Perfect. Thank you, guys. All right. So something that I omitted, and so I may have touched on this, how Google finds the pages. That process isn't an instant process. So if we go and we make these changes to the site, um, I've made this change here. It may take a little bit for Google to come back through and to find um, that the content has been updated. There's two ways to address this. Number one, you could just kick back and go about your business, drink your coffee, and do your work, and eventually they will come by. If we look at these, I like that idea. Put in the HTTPS. All right, so see here how in the cache version it says it appeared on May 11th, 2018 at the top. So this is Google's cache. This is the snapshot. When Google indexes a page, it's got that in there, but you can update it yourself. And you can do that with a program called Google Webmaster Tools. Google Webmaster Tools is a free program. We've got it installed on most sites. At the end of the webinar, I'll look up your domains and add it if you don't have it already. And what Google Webmaster Tools and Analytics do is it's a way of communicating directly with Google to let them know, hey, we've got a site and we're, we've got some changes to it. So here's Midtown Animal Hospital, and I've submitted a sitemap. I've let them know, hey, here's how many pages there are. I can play fetch with Google. Hey, come by, take a look at the website. All that sort of thing. I can even, and let me go back there and take a look. I can even find out that we've got a new version of Midtown, because now, as you can see here, this one is HTTP, but really it's HTTPS. So, and if I wanted to let them know, hey, we've got this new page, or we just made this change, easiest way you can do this is just shoot me an email, support@eVetSites.com. Say, hey, Jose, hey guys, can you please update this page? We just did a new bio. We added a doctor. We have a new practice manager. We added some more vet techs. We did their bios. We also put in some information about the boarding. That's all been revamped. Can you please let Google know? And we can. We can do that with Google. We can do that with Bing. The bigger search engines have these mechanisms where you can go ahead and let them know, and they can go ahead and get the latest and the greatest update on there. So I'm going to do that right now. What page was it?
Yes, you could just let her know that
Spain.
from eVetSites was calling to check another file.
I'm going to go here. And if you don't remember this, this is fine. This is really, I'm just doing this so that I won't forget later. So I'm going to say, hey, go take a peek at it. I'm going to redirect it. And you can say, call this URL or the URL and its links. I'm only going to do this page. And there we go. So hopefully, Google now, by the end of the day today or tomorrow at the latest, they're going to know that this page has been updated, and maybe we'll start ranking higher for Sacramento, spaying and neutering. Let's look at that. Well, look at this. Spay and neuter. This is fantastic SEO from the SPCA. These guys have it right in the name of their domain name. Incredible. That's they're going all out there. And hey, look, we're right on the cusp. So Dr. True is one page in. Maybe after I put in a little bit more work on that page, we can cross that hump and get to page one. Because really, and again, I know you hear a lot about this from salespeople. Being as close to the top is important, obviously. Being on the page one is really the goal, because you can't predict somebody being in the first site. It could be that these two are jockeying back and forth between one another. Maybe these folks have hired an SEO consultant. Maybe these folks have just have the name of it right there in the website. There's no telling. So if you ever get a salesperson saying, "Oh, we can guarantee that you can be number one," be very, very wary. It's very difficult to do that because there's just a lot of factors involved. What I can tell you with certainty is that we can improve your site. I can tell you that we can definitely shoot for the first page, and everything after that is bonus. But I don't. It's important to put realistic expectations on that. Especially if, like, for example, the site is brand new. One of the in that list of factors, these different SEO ranking signals, domain age, they say, well, it's not that big of it all. They do use it. I've seen some of our clients that have been around for years rank well, and they don't have particularly fine-tuned SEO. They simply have had the site for a while, and that counts for something. It's almost like a tenure. That doesn't mean we should just give up, though. We should definitely take those tips that I mentioned earlier. Tag your images, talk about the areas that you service, update the site, and of course, give me a call so that we can set up a one-on-one, because we can do a lot more than this sort of. Right now, I'm just covering some real general areas, and that will help out. The other thing, since we're talking about keywords and all that, is you can actually change how the site appears on Google. If you noticed here, the first big blue link all have the name of the hospital, location, and what that page is about. Go ahead and, if you'd like to, on your computer when you get a chance, type in site, colon, and then again your domain name, and take a look to see if there's any inconsistencies, if there's any weird writing, if there's anything in there that can maybe hinder the search. These every listing has three parts. This is called the title element, this big blue or purple link if someone's clicked on it. This green thing, it's called the slug. And this part here is called the meta description. Now you actually can edit every single one of those. And here is how. I'll go over this briefly. If you don't get it, don't worry too much. I just want to show you that it can be done. So again, here's the title, here's the slug, here's the description. The title should be what the page is about. So in this case, here's Sacramento veterinary. There may be some more on the other part of this, but you have your general idea. If you're an equine practice, you want to say equine veterinary service. If you're a mobile service, then you talk about that. Basically, just what's the first thing that you want people to know about the practice. And then, as you can see, that these have more and more of them. This slug is important because this is again what people know. The homepage doesn't have one. This one does. FAQs, site search, employment. Basically whatever the page is about, that's what that slug is about. And then the description. So it should be a snippet of what the page is about. So let me do one. And how you do that is you click, if you're logged into your site, you click this edit menu button, and then you'll see these fields here. So here's the title, here's the slug, and here's the description. What I'd recommend, and if you don't have two monitors, you can always pull it up, like maybe on your phone or maybe split the screen or whatever. You can sometimes do something like this. All right, we'll do it this way. Okay, so if you look at the home page, see how it says this? Yeah, it's right here. And then here is the description. Each page should have a little snippet of what that actual page is about. This one should probably be changed because it's not really an accurate description. So let's take a look at this. Sorry for all the swings. Okay, so here's some. This is from the home page. I know this just because I look at these sites every day. This is this is really generic text, and what Google does is that if it sees that there's a whole bunch of text that doesn't match what's actually on the page, it throws it out and it just grabs like the first 100 something characters from the page itself. This in general, this works out well, but it doesn't always, especially if you don't have the very first part of the site actually get to what the page is about. Maybe you've got some sort of update or something. We've had some clients that are in Santa Rosa that um, suffered terrible losses, both of practices and homes and things because of some awful wildfires last year. Maybe they're not going to see the wildfire notice and because they've got something else first. And in which case it would make the whole thing moot because there's no practice for somebody to show up to. So as soon as you can, this is something to take note of. You know, I don't know how to say this, nicely, but just get to the point on the website. Quickly get to a summary of what the page is about, and then start fleshing out the details. So in this case, I'm going to talk about this is about the practice. So, and I mean this is a lot like what we had in there earlier. But what Google is doing is it's just comparing the words. It's just looking at these words here, and it's comparing them to the words here. That's all. It's just making a comparison, and if it sees that they match, then it looks favorably on it. If it sees that it doesn't match, it assumes that you're either, depending on the site, it's gonna assume that you're either just haven't configured it correctly or that you're being deliberately deceptive, right? It's one thing to have uh, a repetition of the content that's on the home page, and it's another to say something like, so that kind of clickbait stuff, and we've all seen it. If you put this stuff in there, earlier I mentioned, well, there's not much that can sync your website. Well, if there's something that can, it would be this sort of business right here, where if you try to misrepresent and say, well, this is what we have on the page, but really it's something else. Google has algorithms that will check and it'll look at it. And when I say Google, I know we're about 3/4 of the way into this talk, but I mean also Bing and DuckDuckGo and all the other search engines that are out there. So yeah, just be forthright. Have a short version of what's on your site be there, and you should be okay. And we can work on some of these when we do our one-on-one consultations. And that's one of the first things that I'll do. In most cases, I'll kind of log in and change them because sometimes there's weird stuff in here. Um, but I need your input because again, your community, your practice, and so you can give me more information about that sort of thing. I wouldn't know, um, for example, um, which areas are the areas that you support. I was talking to a client I remember a little while ago in Philadelphia, and I said, well, how about serving the communities of A, B, and C? And the practice manager was like, oh, no, 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 no. And I was like, well, it's right nearby. She's like, yeah, no, but it's no, Jose, no. And I guess it was pretty sketchy area. It looked like a residential area, but when I looked at it in satellite, it's actually a bunch of like warehouses and stuff. And I guess just like a haven for crimes and drug dealers and stuff like that. So it's not always a geographic thing. It's kind of like gerrymandering. People can have areas that they want to service and areas that are nearby, but maybe they're not really a residential area. Again, your community, you're part of the world, so that's part of the conversation that we'll have when we do the one-on-one, so that we can talk about these things and maximize on that, so that we can show up. Okay, so we have, I think I put that link in there. And again, I don't expect anyone on this call to just jump on in and start doing this stuff. We put these things in as guides because we have a real big range of tech savvy folks. I've got people that sandbag and say, "Oh, I'm not really that techy," and then I log into their computer remotely and they're going crazy and they're using Photoshop and um, you know they're using Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools on their own. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. You're not that techy. And then other people that are having a really hard time just logging in to make changes. So you try to help everyone within that range. And so again, this has some real simple tips on how to do it. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. How important the slug is, how important this is for mobile. Whenever you're working on these things, mobile still comes in there. The modifying the slug is what we see. I turned my iPhone sideways and took this screenshot and then uploaded it. But this is what people see. So for us, this is how our website looks when somebody does a search. We do website design and hosting inspired by the VIN, and we're part of the VIN. So that's important. I think for VIN members, that's important to know. All this information here they can see in the green. Okay, so we covered a little bit about content, a little bit about how Google finds that information, and we talked a little bit about the good things that we should do. So let me talk about and I touched on some of the no's that we can do. Another thing to talk about is the actual site design. And again, this is something that we can dig into more, but in general, your site should be set up, and I think I purposely removed some of the links on here so I can discuss this. Your site should be set up so that somebody on a mobile device can get to the website and get to the different places without any of this navigation. And here is why. When you're in a mobile device, your navigation disappears. This right here is the de facto standard. The industry term for these three dots up here is the hamburger. It's a little clunky. You click it, you click something else again, and then off you go. It's a lot of clicking, right? Now you can change this by doing a couple of things. Number one, building the page in a way that has links. But links are your friend, and you want them, and you don't want to use them willy-nilly. You want to use them in a way that makes sense. So here we've got these top-level pages. There's a whole bunch of pages under About Us. Looks like there's some under Contact. Oh, no, that's not being used. The rest of these are just main pages. But look at this About Us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a content or a link here. Oh, here it is, about our veterinary practice. Okay, I thought I got rid of the link. It looks like it's there. So if somebody clicks on this link, obviously if you're in a computer, you're going to use the navigation. But if you're here, and you can pretend that this is an iPad or a phone or whatever, if you click on this, tapping on that is a lot easier than doing the 3 or 4 clicks that are up here. And then notice that I've also got other links down here to the pages that are underneath. So so the general rule is you on your home page you have a link to the top level navigation page. In other words, this page. And then on this page, you've got a link to the pages that are underneath. I'll show you another example. So here's the about. I could just click here. But this takes you there to the about eVetSites. And so this is important because for two reasons. Number one, a lot of people are on mobile. It's a very big deal. There's a lot of people that use it. It's just a reality that there's a lot of folks that are using it. And so if someone's on a cell phone, somebody's on a tablet, somebody's on a portable device of some sort, by having the site designed easily so that they can get from one page to another, you're improving your SEO, you're improving their uh, utilization of your website and getting the most that they can out of it. And you're also making it easy for the bots of the different search engines to find that information. Because what's going to happen is they're going to come upon, midtownanimalhospital.com, and then they're going to follow these different links. And when they follow those links, they're going to go ahead and cache the information that's on those, and so on and so forth. They're going to keep going on and follow these different links. And they're not going to do it via the navigation of these things, but rather through navigation links that are in the body of the pages. If your site isn't set up like that right now, don't panic. We can fix it. It's like a lot like as we've been doing our sites, we've changed them. Periodically, we update the templates that we use to build them. We had somebody signing up in summer of 2018. Probably going to have a more fine-tuned SEO site right off the bat than someone who's been with us for a really, really long time. But that doesn't mean that we can't address or fix those things. It just means that some of those things are automatic because as you know, things change. You hear about these updates from Google or their different search algorithms, and so we try to adjust to that. We've had mobile sites, making the sites mobile friendly, adding SSL. Oh yeah, let me talk about that for a second, right? And all the different changes that we do. So we try to update the sites and the way the sites are built often for performance and aesthetics and everything. But there's no substitute for us having the one-on-one conversation. Okay, we've got a little bit of time. Any questions on anything I've covered so far? Okay. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. And again, I would love it if you can either email me, support@evetsites.com. I'll look up the info as well. Maybe I'll just follow up with everyone after the call so that I can both set up appointments so that we can chat and also so that I can get SSL installed. So SSL, which is really TLS if you want to impress a geek, is this up here, this green secure bar that you may see on certain websites. And so what this is an encryption. It lets people know that the site is verified and they are who they say they are. We've all received that spammy email that purports to be from Costco telling us about our credit card or the IRS saying, hey, we need you guys to send us money and put in a credit card or whatever. Well, the certificate up here lets you know that the site that you're on really is who they say they are, right? So speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look. So here they are, and these guys because they got the big bucks. They opted for the name one on here. So we know that this is, in fact, who they say they are. eVetSites, same thing, secure. So you can tell that they are who they are. And on top of that, there is a small, and I'm saying this just to kind of temper expectation. There's a very modest SEO boost if you have that on there. Google is very, has been pushing this. They've been very big about pushing the SSL certificates. We're going to be adding them to all our sites. This is part of what you're paying for, so you're not going to get an additional charge or anything like that. It's just part of the service that you're doing. We're getting them through a company called Trustwave, and I've been installing them. We've got a couple dozen that we've done. We still have to do every client, so that's part of my summer project. But you'll be getting those, and what's going to happen is in a couple of months, Google Chrome is going to be changing how they remove the secure indicator. So basically, right now, this is what it looks like. It says secure, example.com. And in September, it's going to have that little lock. And eventually, it's just going to say the domain name. Now, what's going to happen is if somebody doesn't have, they're going to, so it's going to be the reverse. Right now, we're all excited. This says secure, etc. What it's going to be in the future is they're just going to expect that a site has the security certificate, and if it doesn't, they're going to see this, which is never good. So anyways, there's that. If you have any questions about SSL, let me know. Again, supported websites. You can also just message here in this message window, and we'll be glad to help. So that's just part of the different things, the ongoing changes, newest things that we're doing to help your SEO and to help the security. There's more in it, but I don't want to, other than policy. There's a process that we have to do to get the certificates that kind of proves that we're managing the domains and all this. But if you need one, if you're managing your own domain, we still can do it for you. We just need some information from you. And like I said, we'll be glad to do that for everyone. Okay, as we're wrapping this up, if anyone has any questions, last minute things, thoughts, comments, love to hear from you. And I'd love to invite everyone to follow us on social media. They are on Instagram.com/eVetSites. We're on Facebook. And we're also on Twitter. We usually post about updates, things that we're doing, any conferences that we're going to. If anyone here is going to, oh gosh, what's this one? AVMA. If anyone's going to Denver at AVMA, come say hello. I'll be there, facing around in the booth, and I'd love to say hello. Okay, if no one has any questions, then I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Again, my name is Jose. I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day. I know you're all busy. Hopefully it should shed a little bit of light on there. And I know this is just kind of a really brief overview. There's not too much, but I wanted to hopefully you'll see that it's not too technical. There's a lot that we can do. Just a little conversation back and forth. You have any questions, support at eVetSites.com. You can give us a call, 888-332-5316. And as as always, we'll be glad to help you out. Thank you all for joining us today.